Welcome to my channel. Turkey might just be on its way to becoming the next global superpower. Leading this ambitious charge is none other than President Recep Tayyip Erdogan, a figure both celebrated and criticized for his strategic maneuvering. Whether you admire or disdain him, one thing is certain: Erdogan has been playing an intricate geopolitical game, balancing the scales between East and West like a master tactician. Watch the video until the end to catch all the important details. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more updates on global events. Be the first to know what's shaping the world. Just last week, Erdogan made waves at the European Political Community Summit in Budapest, reaffirming Turkey's commitment to joining the European Union. The timing couldn't be more crucial, given the current geopolitical climate. But here's where things get truly fascinating. Turkey isn't simply aligning itself with the West. It's walking a tightrope, maintaining ties with Russia while staying engaged with NATO and the EU. This balancing act is not a new strategy for Turkey. Historically, the nation has always been at the crossroads of civilizations, cultures, and empires. Today, Erdogan seems to be channeling that legacy in his modern-day diplomacy, ensuring Turkey remains a central player in the global arena. If Turkey does manage to join the EU, it would mark a monumental shift in global power dynamics. The country, already a NATO heavyweight with the second-largest military after the US, would solidify its status as a committed Western ally. For Vladimir Putin, this would be a disastrous blow, leaving Russia with one less neutral partner and severely weakening its geopolitical position. Russia has long relied on strategic partnerships like the one with Turkey to maintain a foothold in the global chessboard. Losing Turkey to the EU would not just be a symbolic defeat but also a practical one, complicating Russia's energy and military operations. Watch the video until the end to catch all the important details. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more updates on global events. Be the first to know what's shaping the world. Turkey's approach to Russia has been anything but conventional. While most nations distanced themselves from Moscow following the invasion of Ukraine in 2022, Turkey took a different route. It doubled down on energy imports from Russia, reaching a staggering $41 billion by 2022. For Turkey, this wasn't about loyalty. It was a matter of survival. Facing an economic crisis with soaring inflation, a plummeting lira, and widespread discontent among its citizens, Turkey needed a stable energy supply to keep its economy afloat. But this was no mere transactional relationship. For Putin, this partnership may have seemed like a win, a way to secure Erdogan's loyalty during a period when global sentiment was shifting away from Russia. However, Erdogan had bigger plans in mind. By securing affordable energy from Russia, Turkey bought itself time to stabilize its economy and maintain strategic autonomy. It wasn't a concession. It was a calculated move in a much larger game. Then, in a surprising turn of events, Erdogan openly declared that Crimea should return to Ukraine. For a leader who appeared to be cozying up to Moscow, this was an unexpected and bold stance. But it was also a clear indication of Turkey's evolving strategy, one that prioritizes long-term gains over short-term alliances. Some may wonder why Turkey's EU aspirations are so significant when it's already a NATO member. The distinction lies in the nature of these organizations. NATO is a military alliance focused on collective defense. Its primary goal is to deter aggression and ensure security among member states. The EU, however, is a political and economic union requiring deep integration, from aligning laws to opening borders and committing to shared values like democracy and human rights. Joining the EU would be transformative for Turkey. It would gain access to the EU's vast single market and trade networks, boosting its economy and offering new opportunities for Turkish businesses. Imagine Turkish industries benefiting from direct access to a market of over 450 million people. At the same time, European businesses would tap into Turkey's strategic location, its growing consumer base, and its role as a gateway to the Middle East and Asia. Watch the video until the end to catch all the important details. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more updates on global events. Be the first to know what's shaping the world. One of Turkey's most significant strategic advantages lies in its control of the Bosphorus and Dardanelles Straits, collectively known as the Turkish Straits. These waterways are Russia's only maritime link between the Black Sea and the Mediterranean. Without access, Russia's Black Sea fleet would be effectively trapped, limiting its naval power and regional influence. Under the 1936 Montreux Convention, Turkey has the legal authority to regulate naval transit through these straits, especially during wartime. While Turkey initially hesitated to fully enforce these rules during Russia's invasion of Ukraine, its potential EU membership could change the game entirely. As an EU member, Turkey would likely adopt a stronger stance against Russian aggression, further isolating Putin and his military ambitions. This isn't just about military strategy. It's also about energy and trade. The Turkish Straits serve as a critical choke point for global commerce, particularly for oil and gas shipments. By controlling these waterways, Turkey wields significant leverage over both its allies and rivals. If Turkey aligns itself fully with the EU, this leverage would become a key tool in shaping not just regional, but global policies. Turkey's journey to EU membership has been long and fraught with challenges, but the stakes have never been higher. For Erdogan, it's not just about joining a prestigious club, it's about redefining Turkey's role on the global stage. For Putin, a Turkey fully integrated into the EU and firmly aligned with the West would be a strategic nightmare, complicating Russia's military and economic ambitions. The question remains: can Erdogan successfully navigate this high-stakes game and secure Turkey's place as a superpower in the making? Or will the balancing act collapse under the weight of competing interests? Stay tuned, because this story is far from over. Watch the video until the end to catch all the important details. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more updates on global events. Be the first to know what's shaping the world. Turkey's cautious approach during the early days of Russia's invasion of Ukraine sparked significant debate among analysts. Some speculated that President Erdogan's reluctance to act decisively was a calculated move to appease Putin, preserving their delicate partnership amid escalating global tensions. However, this hesitation had tangible consequences for Ukraine. In the initial days of the conflict, the open Turkish Straits allowed Russia to strengthen its Black Sea fleet. At least 6 Russian warships and a submarine passed through these waters, bolstering their presence. This inaction drew criticism from policymakers in Washington and Brussels, who questioned Turkey's stance as a NATO member. Under mounting international pressure, Turkey pivoted. 6 days after the invasion began, Turkish Foreign Minister Mevlut Cavusoglu announced the closure of the straits to military ships, invoking the wartime provisions of the Montreux Convention. For Putin, this was a significant setback, further tarnishing Russia's strategic position. The move also signaled Turkey's commitment to align more closely with NATO objectives, easing Western concerns. Yet Russia, as always, found a loophole. The Montreux Convention allows warships to pass through the straits if they are returning to their registered home ports. Exploiting this clause, Russia claimed its vessels were merely returning home, circumventing Turkey's restrictions. Conveniently, nearly half of Russia's combined Mediterranean and Black Sea fleets, over 4 dozen ships, were already stationed near the straits, ready to reinforce their Black Sea fleet under this pretext. Imagine the implications if Turkey were an EU member. Decisions regarding the straits would align more closely with EU policies, potentially leading to stricter interpretations of the Montreux Convention, or even closing the return-to-base loophole. This would effectively trap Russia's Black Sea fleet, limiting its ability to project power into critical regions such as the Middle East and North Africa. For instance, during the Syrian civil war, Russia relied heavily on its Mediterranean fleet for operations. Without access to the Mediterranean, such maneuvers would be nearly impossible. Beyond military considerations, Russia's Black Sea ports, Novorossiysk and Sevastopol, are vital for exporting oil, grain, and other commodities. To reach global markets, these exports must pass through Turkish-controlled waters. For now, the straits remain open for commercial shipping, even during conflicts. In 2023, over 39,000 vessels transited the Istanbul Strait, a slight increase from 2022. However, this is still part of a broader decline compared to a peak of 56,600 in 2007. If Turkey joined the EU, the dynamics could shift dramatically. EU-backed regulations might subject Russian cargo ships to enhanced inspections, slowing trade, increasing costs, and disrupting supply chains. In extreme cases, the EU could push for a blockade of Russian vessels, citing security concerns or violations of international norms. This would create economic bottlenecks, severely impacting Russia's global trade and reputation as a reliable supplier, particularly in grain exports. Turkey's EU membership would also require adherence to EU sanctions, affecting its economic ties with Russia. For instance, Turkey has become one of the largest importers of Russian crude oil since the Ukraine invasion, generating significant revenue for the Kremlin. As an EU member, Turkey would lose this economic independence, aligning with collective policies that further isolate Russia. The impact would extend to defense relations as well. Turkey's 2017 purchase of Russia's S-400 missile system strained ties with NATO and the US, showcasing Ankara's willingness to pursue an independent defense policy. However, EU membership would necessitate severing such defense trade with Russia, reshaping Turkey's alliances for decades. In retrospect, Turkey's cautious balancing act underscores the complex interplay of geopolitical, economic, and military considerations. Yet, its potential alignment with the EU raises intriguing questions about how these dynamics could evolve, particularly in the face of a resurgent Russia. In a time of increasing regional instability, with the Syrian conflict intensifying and the risk of missile attacks growing, Turkey found itself with limited options to enhance its defenses. Facing this urgent need, Turkey turned to Russia and secured the S-400 missile system. The S-400 is one of the most advanced air defense systems globally, capable of detecting, tracking, and eliminating multiple targets simultaneously from up to 250 miles away. It was an ideal match for Turkey, addressing threats like high-speed fighter jets, cruise missiles, and even stealth aircraft, and filled a critical security gap as Turkey grew increasingly isolated in addressing its defense needs. However, integrating the S-400 into Turkey's military infrastructure presented a significant challenge for NATO. NATO operates as a unified network, sharing data, intelligence, and operational protocols seamlessly. The alliance was concerned that the S-400's integration could expose sensitive NATO information to Russian technicians, allowing Moscow access to intelligence on NATO aircraft, flight patterns, radio signatures, and operational strategies. This was a significant risk, which is why the United States strongly opposed Turkey's decision. At the same time, Turkey was an integral part of the F-35 stealth fighter jet program, contributing $175 million to its development and planning to acquire 100 F-35s. Turkish companies were heavily involved in producing critical components for the jets, which promised economic and technological benefits, such as thousands of jobs and industrial advancements. But when Turkey pursued the S-400 deal, the US retaliated by removing Turkey from the F-35 program. Turkish pilots were sent home, and the 100 F-35 order was cancelled. This exclusion dealt a severe blow to Turkey's defense industry, with its companies losing billions in manufacturing contracts. In December 2020, the United States imposed sanctions on Turkey under the Countering America's Adversaries Through Sanctions Act, CAATSA. The sanctions targeted Turkey's Presidency of Defense Industries, SSB, banning it from obtaining U.S. defense technology and freezing the assets of senior officials. This further isolated Turkey's defense sector at a time when the country aimed to modernize its capabilities. Despite the setbacks, Turkey stood firm, conducting tests on the S-400 system and escalating tensions with the US and NATO. This dispute also impacted Turkey's relationship with the European Union, adding complexity to an already strained dynamic. Recent reports suggest a potential path to resolution, with the U.S. proposing a plan for Turkey to retain the S-400 under strict conditions, such as storing the system at Incirlik Air Base under U.S. supervision. In exchange, Turkey could rejoin the F-35 program, and sanctions might be lifted. However, Turkey has officially denied these reports, maintaining its stance on the S-400. Despite the denial, analysts see room for compromise, particularly given Turkey's firmer stance against Russia due to the war in Ukraine and its military support for Ukraine, including supplying Bayraktar drones. Turkey's journey toward EU membership has been long and fraught with challenges. In 1959, Turkey applied for associate membership in the European Economic Community, EEC, leading to the 1963 Ankara Agreement, which outlined a three-step process toward full membership. However, Turkey's economic and political instability in the 1970s and 1980s delayed progress. Military coups, human rights abuses, and economic crises raised doubts in Europe about Turkey's readiness to join the bloc. By 1987, Turkey's application for full membership was rejected, citing these concerns. Despite setbacks, Turkey signed a customs union agreement with the EU in 1995, boosting economic ties. However, political issues, such as the Kurdish conflict and concerns over Turkey's commitment to secularism, continued to strain relations. In 1999, Turkey was officially recognized as a candidate for EU membership, sparking hope for progress. Reforms under Prime Minister Recep Tayyip Erdogan in the early 2000s, including strengthening democratic institutions and addressing human rights concerns, seem to align Turkey more closely with EU standards. Formal accession negotiations began in 2005, but quickly stalled. Only 16 of 35 negotiation chapters have been opened, and just one has been provisionally closed. The Cyprus dispute remains a significant obstacle. Since 1974, the island has been divided between the Republic of Cyprus and the Turkish-controlled north. The EU has demanded that Turkey open its ports and airports to Cypriot vessels, a condition Turkey has refused, tying progress to resolving the broader Cyprus issue. Additionally, Turkey's size and predominantly Muslim population have sparked debates about its cultural compatibility with the EU, with leaders like Nicolas Sarkozy and Angela Merkel favoring a privileged partnership over full membership. Relations further deteriorated during the 2010s, particularly after the 2013 Gezi Park protests, where the Turkish government's harsh response to demonstrations drew international criticism. A 2016 migrant deal between Turkey and the EU briefly improved ties, with Turkey reducing migrant crossings in exchange for financial aid and promises of visa-free travel. However, these promises were not fully realized, deepening mistrust. Later that year, a failed coup attempt in Turkey led to a government crackdown, straining relations further as the EU condemned Turkey's actions. Amid this backdrop, Turkey's relationship with Russia deepened.